A famous American comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, once said, "According to studies, people's number one fear is public speaking, and number two is death." Does that sound right? That means that to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you're better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. Wow. Well, if that's you, please remember this. There is nothing wrong with you if you get nervous before speaking in public. It happens to just about everyone. So, a few tips. Number one, the most important thing you can do to conquer nervousness before any presentation, webinar, or online meeting is simply to practice out loud. Create your content first, and then give yourself several real dress rehearsals. And when I say practice out loud, I really mean out loud. In other words, you don't want to just kind of read your notes without actually saying the words. The reason this is effective in reducing nervousness is that it removes the fear of the unknown, if you will. In other words, if you practice it out loud a few times before you do the real thing, you won't be searching for words, and you won't have the additional anxiety that comes with that. Some people ask us, is there such a thing as over-practicing? And yes, theoretically that is possible. You could practice so much that it takes all of the energy and enthusiasm out of your presentation. But as a practical matter, we very seldom see people who over-practice and therefore take all of the energy out of their performance when it comes time to do the real thing. The great majority of the time, it's the opposite problem. People are so busy that they just don't have time to practice, so you need to make time. Number two, breathing exercises. Now, you can Google all different types of relaxation techniques and breathing exercises, but here's the one I find simplest and works best. You inhale to a count of 5, and then you exhale to a count of 10. If you do 10 or 12 repetitions of that, you'll find that it slows your heart rate and gives you a sense of calm. This one is also good because you can do it when there are other people around and they'll never know. So let's say you're about to give a presentation in a room full of people, or you're about to do an online video like this. You can do that exercise and nobody will think that there's something wrong with you. Number three, visualization techniques. A lot of professional athletes work with sports psychologists on what are called visualization skills. And one element of this is visualizing success. Basically, you play a little movie in your brain in which you see yourself succeeding at what you're about to do. So let's say you're a top-level footballer and you're about to kick a penalty shot in the World Cup. If you see yourself in your mind's eye lining up the ball, smashing it into the net, and winning that cup, when it comes time a couple of seconds later to actually do it, perhaps you'll be somewhat less intimidated because you just saw yourself do it. The same thing goes for presentations. If you take a couple of seconds to visualize yourself starting strongly in your webinar, sitting up straight in that chair, delivering a powerful webinar that is received so well by the audience, perhaps you'll feel somewhat less intimidated when you do the real thing. And then finally, there's number 4, and that is power poses. Some of you may be familiar with a famous TED Talk by the social anthropologist Dr. Amy Cuddy. In it, she talks about how we've always known that our emotions affect our body language. For example, if you're feeling nervous or scared, our body tends to get a little bit smaller. It kind of collapses like this. Whereas if you're feeling powerful and triumphant, your body naturally gets bigger. If you run the New York City Marathon, your arms fly open like this when you cross that finish line. So Dr. Cuddy wondered if this could work in reverse. In other words, if we plant a certain type of image onto our bodies, will that change the way that we feel about ourselves? Could it not be used to boost our self-confidence? She did some research and determined that yes, it can. And it all boils down to this. You hold your 2 fists up at your head like this for 2 solid minutes. Now, 2 minutes sounds like a long time, and it is kind of a long time, you will find that after those 2 minutes, you're feeling strong. Your chest is sort of puffed out. Your chin is held high. And you're saying to yourself, I can do this. Why do I need to be intimidated? Try it. It works.